chlorophyll. We've got Tony Water. Now we're dirty. Out the Mississippi mud.
What's up, everybody? My name's Clint Clark, and this is the very, very first episode of Pajama Wrestling 101 with a man who I consider one of my best friends in the entire world, my coach, my friend, Johny Wester.
What is brought to you by Fiverr.
Brought to you by Fiverr. Yeah, Johny.
Check out Fiverr, everybody.
This is because I've got the virtual background and Johnny's roasting me over it, and apparently I just did not upload the image without the watermark on it.
It's a great background.
It is a great. I mean, I got the team here, and I've got the gym here, and then I've got the Fiverr who's sponsored. I mean, I just basically pay Fiverr money to design.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have. Well, it's better than me. I've got like shipping supplies and trash, like just random crap behind me.
Well, you know, I do the virtual background because this is Anna's office. You know, she teaches from Arkansas, and so I've behind me. You actually have all kinds of feminist propaganda,
right?
Yeah, so I can't have that.
Right, the damn liberals. I'm sure the books are cleared off the shelves.
Yeah,
as they should be.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm not having any of that. Just not get Give me a virtual background.
Yeah.
No, Johnny, you've been taking new pictures for all the coaches in the gym. Have you got those done yet?
I've got. Yeah. Did you not see them? I posted them yesterday.
Oh, but I didn't see all of them.
Or I was just for conversation. You're just asking me this for conversation.
Well, I know. Honestly, I didn't see mine, or I'd have probably shared it. But
yeah,
I'll have to find them.
I've got most of them done. We did mine today, and then we're just like redoing all the headshots for everybody in the gym, and they're done. They're pretty much done. It's mostly like I just need to get the website because I don't want to just update one page and have like a theme, and then the rest of it not match that theme. So I need to get the whole website done before I can drop it.
So me and Anna, we were discussing earlier that I think we should have put her on the website and taken her picture as well as like
for sure
team chauffeur,
team mascot
Sherpa.
Yeah,
she can carry a lot of bags.
Anna has taken us literally all over the country by now competing. Yep.
So me and you've been to a lot of places competing, but you're also from about everywhere. Tell me where you're from. I mean, because you're from pretty much everywhere, aren't you?
Yeah, pretty much. This is so weird talking to you about this. I love it. So I was born in Germany and moved pretty much all over the United States after that. I was a military brat, so that's kind of where that came from. And then I would say like I'm mostly from Arkansas for sure. Like my teenage and adult years have primarily been in Arkansas. Before that, it was primarily Missouri, in like Springfield, Missouri area. But if you hear my child screaming, by the way, it's because we locked her away and I don't pay any attention to her at all.
As you should. You gotta teach them young to just deal with the neglect.
Exactly. Yep.
So, now do you when you're watching live PD, how much pride do you take in Springfield, Missouri?
That's so funny, dude. It really is like, dude, it dominates that show. Every time I'm in a hotel, it's either like Ancient Aliens Marathon or Live PD. Like those are the only two shows available. And Springfield, Missouri is on every episode of Live PD. They've got to have like some contract with them or something.
I think the first time we went to Vegas, you and Ben got me watching that show.
That's right. Yeah.
And you're like, man, right there. I know that spot. I know that spot.
Yeah. I know what he was doing right there, man.
Yeah, that was Yeah. So as from Springfield, you come to Arkansas.
I lived in Northwest Arkansas for like high school, uh, my high school era, and then moved away to California for a little while to play music when I was about 18, 19 years old. And then came back to Arkansas because I was so successful at music
Right.
that that's the next logical. I needed a break from all of it, so came back to
like
Northwest Arkansas.
like a year in California of being a
Yeah,
mildly successful bass player. Was
yeah.
Johny Wester. Like,
I couldn't handle the limelight, so I had to leave.
it's like, well, it's good that I mean, you at least went and chased the dream for a year.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I did the damn thing.
Yeah, like you can't, say, hey, I moved to California and I was in a successful rock band for a year.
Hmm
I should have heard about it. We were
There's like successful, and then there's like too successful, and I was just right on that line. So I couldn't. It was too early in my life to be that successful. Like I'm gonna turn into Jeff Bezos.
yeah. So at what point did Johny Wester decide I'm gonna give this jiu-jitsu thing a shot?
Dude,
When
I don't know that I ever did. I don't know if I still have. Um, no, like jujitsu specifically, or like
any martial,
fighting and competing.
yeah.
There was a pretty definite moment when I moved back from California, I was really sick of like relying on other people for my successes. Like being in a band, it's like I always show up to practice. I always do my part. But not everybody else necessarily does their part. My phone's like crooked and it's bothering me. You hear my kid crying in there?
I can't. And so
Okay, good. Shut up. No. Um,
you go bang on her door, like you knock
yeah.
it.
um, what was I talking about again?
About what kind of got you started in jiu-jitsu and all
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I was like, I was just sick of like relying on somebody else to be successful, and I figured like I kind of fell into fighting. I didn't really go looking for it, but like I fell into an MMA gym, and I was like, at some point during maybe probably the first like 2 or 3 months, I was like, this makes more sense for me to try to pursue, because if I'm not successful, it's mostly my fault at it. And here I am, just wildly famous and rich, uh, uber successful. So I've made it, definitely.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's such a different sport, I'd say for me, because I grew up, I mean, I grew up playing football and all
hmm
that. So when you go out there now, team sports, being in a band, you can blend in.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in the forefront. When you're out there doing jiu-jitsu or MMA or kickboxing, whatever it may be, there's nowhere to hide. It's you and another person out there. And
Yeah. Yeah. It's you can't fake it as much. And like that sounds like such an obvious statement, but like in music, one of the easiest ways to be like successful was to look the part, or like to be the it band was like to have like the cool amps, like the big amps and the big drum set and like all of the things. And in jiu-jitsu or in fighting, it's not really the case. Like
yeah.
looking the part can help,
How
but
important in your music career was it to look the part? Did you go with more like the Backstreet Boys look? Did you try to grunge? Did you wear the Abercrombie and Fitch?
oh, I probably did it all, dude. There's probably a phase of my life for each of that like era of my life. I didn't quite know who I was yet. I was always comfortable in my own skin and whatever version of myself I was, but like I hadn't quite. I'm halfway expecting you to pull up like a picture from that you've dug up from that area in the background. Now, Johnny, like right here, we see you.
Yeah, Johnny, this is my first podcast, and I take it, I've probably listened to more episodes of your old podcast than you have of my current podcast.
Yeah, which is part of what scares me about being on your podcast, because you're taking tips from me.
I mean, is there a worse guy to get advice from?
No, I'm about as bad as it gets.
I figured, because this is my first time doing it on my own. I usually have a co-host. I'm like, if it goes off the rails, me and Johnny got enough good travel stories that we could just
for sure
for a bit and just eat up the time. So
yeah, we have plenty of stories.
No, for sure.
Go ahead. For me, I think though, like with music, I learned a lot about looking the part through music, and like that sounds like such a silly thing to talk about to me now that I'm saying it, but like that was a big part of playing music, was like looking like the rock star. You can't do that.
But you're also, when you're 19, 20 years old,
that's important. Yeah.
It's looking the part's important, but you're also figuring out who you are and what you want to do and who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just,
we were kind of talking about this after one of the tournaments and realizing that like I'm watching kids now go through that period of their life, but in the jiu-jitsu scene and in the MMA scene, like now they're very impressionable, and they're very like, you remember when you were like 18, 19 years old, you were like so excited to see your friends that it was like you were literally like bouncing off the walls. You do anything to like impress your friends and stuff like that. And then you just get older and you get lazy and you're like, I don't care anymore. I hate everybody. But you just like, you watch kids now having those experiences through jiu-jitsu, and it's interesting for me to watch, because I did have some of those experiences. I was still pretty young whenever I got into jiu-jitsu, but like, we're talking like 16, 17, 18 years old. It's just interesting to watch people grow up through the sport.
No, it really is. And I think, we've watched me and you've kind of grown up in the sport together. It's been a weird ride. There's that iconic photo. I call it iconic. It's probably not really iconic, just between, but it's got me in it, and that's why it's iconic.
Yeah, that's really the main thing. Yeah.
It's got me, and it's got Devin Snyder in it. Who
I think that's like one of the only pictures that I know of that is white belt Johnny. I don't know. Like, I don't know of any other pictures of me in a white belt.
Right, because I think you and Brian got your blue belts that day. I think I might have already been a blue belt. I think I may have just got mine. I think I got my blue belt slightly before you.
Possibly.
And then Nate was a blue belt.
Mm-hmm.
And then Devin, he's Snyder, he's Steve's son.
Yeah.
He's about to be a black belt. So there's so many people in that picture that weren't black belts at the time.
Corey Springer was in that picture too.
Corey Springer, I think Corey Springer's
a purple belt now.
Yeah.
He was like a blue belt then. He's a purple belt now.
You're a white belt, no first degree black belt.
Yeah. Good old days.
So yeah, so did you start off at Inferno? Is that where you got started off at?
Yeah, I started off training in Bentonville at Inferno, and I had gone in because I tried, like, I dabbled in Muay Thai while I was in California. Right. And if it looks like I'm looking off screen, it's because I'm looking at you. But my camera's like I keep thinking like I look like I'm just staring off into the distance.
I'm wondering.
Yeah. Yeah, I dabbled in Muay Thai, and then like I actually went looking for specifically a Muay Thai gym. I didn't want to do MMA, and then that didn't exist in the area, so I just kind of fell into MMA and started doing that at Inferno.
So what's that mentality for you got to get like whenever your first cage fight, you have to turn it? Because I can wrap my hand around jiu-jitsu tournaments. I've done a gajillion of those. I don't even really get nervous except for the big ones anymore because I've done a gajillion of them. But the idea of stepping in a cage, knowing that guy's going to try to punch me, kick me, this
Yeah.
fight, it's foreign to me. So what's your head space got to be like for that?
Well, my first fight, I didn't have there wasn't really any warning. Like I woke up that morning and my coach was like, "Hey, we had somebody drop out of a fight. Do you want to fight tonight?" And I said no, and he convinced me, and then I went, and I didn't even have time to get nervous. It was just like, all right, let's go. Like here we go. Um, and so it was all such like I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I just jumped in head first, didn't even think about it. And so that first time, I don't know where my headspace was after that. And then it took me some balancing to figure out where to get my head at. Like my first couple fights, I actually started too slow. I went in a little bit lazy, and then I would start picking it up. And once I got going, getting some momentum, and then I finally started to kind of settle down and figure out my headspace. And for me, it was mostly just that like the objective was the only thing in mind. Like the objective was to win, and that was the only possible outcome, and that was the only thing I would think about is the win and nothing else in between. And that helped a lot for me. I didn't think about what was going to happen in the match, only the part where I got my hand raised. The rest was already taken care of. I was just
Right.
show up at the gym, train, do what they tell me, and then my objective is to go do all of that and get my hand raised.
Well, you always
So,
feel like your best good is going to beat the other guy's best.
yeah,
When you're about like you've got to think I'm the more talented guy. I'm the better guy.
for sure. And that created a very toxic person in me, I think, too, though. And I intentionally started to separate myself from competing as heavily because I became like a very self-centered and toxic person through doing that.
Is that part of what led you to think about starting, your own gym?
A little bit. I definitely needed to get out of a toxic situation uh, in multiple areas of my life. Like there were multiple toxic situations um, that I needed to remove myself from. But it wasn't until a little bit later on that I kind of put the pieces together and understood that the person that I had to be a competitive MMA fighter, wasn't necessarily the person that I wanted to be in real life. And yeah, that bothered me. And I think now you see it a lot, and like people that like Gordon Ryan, like I think he's a toxic piece of shit, but I think a lot of it is bred from that competitor mentality and just living your whole life in the gym. You become like this self-centered and toxic person. So
Yeah.
and he's stupid. So
Yeah. And he's got a tummy ache.
yeah.
So I do just want to add that I did, and Johnny is proof of this. I did compete at Master World with food poisoning. So
Yep.
I will put myself over
100%.
Gordon.
Yeah.
So it. And after the results, I don't blame Gordon Ryan for chopping.
Yeah.
It didn't work out very well.
After trying that, I'd like to apologize to Gordon Ryan.
It was a terrible idea. All thing I remember was of that match, because I refused to watch it, was the guy I went against had like a really long beard, and I was holding him off as long. I just had a stiff arm, and when the match was over, I had like about a good handful of beard just in my hand. I'm like, well, I
As
might
long
have
as you took a piece of him, man.
a piece of him. So, but now, Johnny, what really did lead to you teaming up with Daniel Trimble to start Gravitas? Because man,
It's
that was the moment that I think changed a lot of lives.
um it's a series of moments. We went to Brazil together, like a group of us. Daniel and I trained together in Benville, and we didn't like each other actually when we first when we were training and stuff. And then we went to Brazil together, and we were the only two people that seemed to want to go explore and see Brazil and see the things that are there. And so we kind of mutually, and I'm addicted to gum. I have to always have gum. And I would always ask, do we have any gum? And Daniel was always the one that was like, yeah, I got some. And so we bonded over that and became pretty close. And then I was reffing for Naga, the grappling tournament in Memphis, and I was going through Conway, and I texted Daniel. I was like, "Hey, I'm going through your town." He's like, "Oh, dude, I was just thinking about you. Do you want to open a gym together?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And so it was just kind of a random happenstance, and it was more about him. Daniel's training situation at the time wasn't working out, and he kind of foresaw that it wasn't gonna be consistent. So he was trying to kind of plan ahead a little bit, and sure enough, he was right within a couple of weeks. So,
But it's so cool what y'all built. Came out as a small idea of what y'all built together. I mean,
yeah, and we didn't know what we were gonna The idea has grown with us. We didn't know what we were doing when we started, and I think that's how most big things happen. Um, you don't this podcast, for instance. A year from now, you could be the next Joe Rogan, and you're starting it you don't know. You're not planning on affecting millions of lives or hundreds or probably even tens at this point. You're just doing it because you want to chill with your homies and
just have
yeah,
conversations is what I want to do.
right. And that's where we were at with our stuff. We knew we wanted to do it our way, but
Right.
we didn't think that it was going to be that important to people.
Well, and what always admired me, because me and you through the years have had several conversations, and one thing you said to me that's always stuck is we do business so we can train. We don't train so we can do. The training is the most important thing. And I don't know if
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I mean that I say that a lot. I tell people that we we do business so that we don't have to do business. I try to automate everything that I can, and I don't want to spend my time behind the desk. I want to spend my time on the mats.
Right.
Even if it's just dude, I would just rather be on the mats. When there's other classes going on, I want to sit against the wall and watch and learn and enjoy my friends. I don't want to be behind the desk thinking about how we're gonna come up with the next scam to get people in the gym.
Right. No, and it's I mean you're not hurting for people walking through the door trying classes. And whenever they do come in, they realize that it's a pretty good vibe and that the
Yeah,
people are good. It doesn't matter your gender, your race, your sexuality. People that are gym are just they're generally cool people.
yeah, I agree. And I think it's funny, we all talk shit to each other equally.
Oh yeah,
And
no. I mean, the fact that Taylor Schreckenhofer hasn't showed up at my house and murdered me is a testament.
yeah,
But,
and
yeah,
everybody roasts one another. I think that's what makes, dude, I'm not friend we're not friends if I don't make fun of you. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I show love.
oh, 100%.
Maybe that's
Yeah.
a skewed perception of showing love, but that's just how it goes.
So
Um, but back to what you were talking about the gym,
yeah,
doing businesses. I've always been a firm believer that that our training will speak for itself. I don't want to do a lot of ads and promotion. and we did it first, and like I think there is a place for that,
Right, yeah,
but I think we've gotten to the point where like you know that you want to do jiu-jitsu. Like my ad isn't gonna persuade you to do jiu-jitsu, and you're gonna Google that, and you're gonna find the spot for you. And I hope that like our reputation precedes us, that kind of thing.
well, you look at the stuff that your students are doing. You look at the performances like, Josh Root, how good he looks in his super fights, and you got
He's
Caleb.
got a whole group of people, yeah.
You got a whole group, but you got a group of killers there.
Mm-hmm.
And you got me. If you need someone to grind out an ugly time limit decision, I'm your
Exactly.
guy.
Yeah.
I'm your guy. Now, how much do you enjoy making fun of me when I'm in a stall position? Because I remember the super fight that I did against Shane Goforth. I'm just, he's stuck underneath me, which is not a good place to be. And it is probably just 7 boring minutes of me laying on top of him. And I just remember you saying something to me and people laughing, and I'd like, what did he say? My feelings are hurt.
Yeah, I remember saying like, if you don't move, I'm gonna scream or something like that.
Like the cameraman's quit taking pictures or something.
Yeah. Like everybody is so bored right now. Like you need to move. Yeah,
That,
I remember that.
that was like the most boring regulation match. And then like about a good 3 minutes of just pure interactive big guys flying in the crowd.
Yeah, you guys, and then I remember too that the rule was like if you push the other person out of bounds 3 times, then you win. And so in overtime, and so I was like, that's easy, just push him out of bounds. Like Clint played football. If there's anything that Clint can do, he can like tackle somebody out of bounds.
Yeah,
And
because
he
we
did
were
it.
tied 2-2, and you just yelled at me, football, Clint, football.
Yeah.
Man,
That's good coaching right
that was good.
there.
It worked out. I felt bad because he had rolled his ankle because I'd taken him down, but we landed out of bounds.
Yeah.
And then I was like, crap. And so it has like, I didn't want to do it, but I'm like, well, one of us has got to win and one of us has got to lose.
Exactly.
And
Yeah. Again, like you got to win.
yeah,
Gotta do it.
got
Play
to
the rules.
win. Even if you have to give up your morals, got to. No, Johnny, we have, like I said earlier, we've been to a lot of cool places together
Yeah.
in several states. Where's our favorite place your favorite place we've been together doing jujitsu? Where's like that one spot that you're like,
Oh, for sure, Vegas. Like,
oh, I love it.
yeah, Hash House. We have Hash House a go-go tradition. If you haven't been there, is like a waffle. I don't know. It's like a breakfast palace. I don't.
It's beyond words.
Yeah. Hash House a go-go. If you're listening, hook it up with a sponsorship.
Yeah, we need a sponsorship. We'll hang you up at the gym.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll bow to Hash House a go-go every day.
We'll change part of the logo and get your logo situated in the Gravitas logo.
Yeah, I'll change the name of the gym, man. We'll just be Hash House a go-go. No, that Las Vegas for sure was like my most favorite. Is my most favorite place that we go, because we're gonna go some more.
Oh, for sure.
But I know what your next question is gonna be, because I know what you're leading up to. Is what's your favorite experience
right
or story that we have?
Well, I tell you what, I was going to say this last trip, because I was injured and I couldn't compete, but I'd already paid for everything. So you were like, because I went and talked to you, and I was like, I'm still going to Vegas. I'm going. But I think
ended up being an awesome trip for us.
Yeah, because it was so much, because I wasn't worried about anything the entire time.
Yeah.
Normally, I got to worry about this large man strangling me.
We had one person compete early, like the very first morning. He was like one of the first matches of the whole tournament. And then I didn't get a media pass. And so I was pissed about that. And then so we just dipped out and drove out into the desert and had a blast, like swam in the pool and
Yeah.
just chilled out doing adventure stuff the whole time.
So now, what a lot of people, most of the people that are at the gym, they know one of your big passions is photography.
Mm,
And so one of the things we decided to do on this trip was we're like, you know what? We're going to go take some, you call it astrophotography.
yeah,
What you call it? Yeah, astrophotography. And Anna was getting really into it.
yeah.
She was having a blast out there. But we went out to Red Rock Canyon. I just remember like we probably should have gotten gas before we got on this loop.
Oh, oh, on the loop.
On the
Yeah,
the loop at Red Rock, because I saw you, I was watching it. So we didn't take as much time out at Red Rock this time as I'd like to.
yeah, but it was. I think it was getting dark, and we thought it was like closed or something.
Yeah, it was closing.
Yeah,
We finally went out and we drove back out there, but you were having issues getting the time delayed or time lapse photography.
the yeah. Oh, so boring. I'm just kidding.
I have that effect on people.
Yeah. No, we're recording this at like in the middle of the night, by the way. So
Yeah, because me
that's
and
why
Johnny did discover while we were trying, we've been trying to shoot this for like 2 months,
yeah, we really have.
but we have completely different sleep schedules. So
I was trying to get the yeah, it's just it's tough to get the shutter speed just right on those. Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah,
But we
that
had
was
so many cars driving by because while you're out in the middle of the nowhere, there was a lot of cars just driving by, and there was a busy. So we got I don't know if it was you or Anna discovered Cryolite.
Firelight.
Cryolite, the ghost town out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, is that what it was called? Yeah.
Cryolite, the ghost.
I think we both kind of did because we started looking up like just like places to visit and in around Las Vegas, and finally we just decided, fuck it, let's go. Like,
Yeah,
can I
let's
say that on here?
adventure.
Yeah,
So yeah, we're driving out there and like we stopped. And dude, that was a cool. If you
that whole trip. Yeah.
if you've never done that, just taking a drive out into the desert
Mhm.
in the middle of the night.
It was like we started during the day and then it went into the night. So like we got to see the whole sunset. We stopped at a gas station that was attached to a brothel.
Right.
Like right at sunset.
And I've never really seriously thought about being with a hooker. Or lady of the night, Johnny. True story.
So that lady.
Well, no, really, if I ever thought about it, seeing the guy going in, dragging an oxygen tank into the brothel.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going after that guy.
No.
That broke any desire.
I would say, like I have this idea that like meth has got to be super awesome to do because you just throw your whole life away for it, like, and then I think about like these girls have got to be like just out insane to throw your life, and then I think about it, I'm like, no, they're not, like they don't have to be at all. like these dudes would smash no matter what.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Like, well, I've already paid for it. I'm gonna get it while I'm here.
Jeez, yeah, but that was like the lady that we saw in that gas station that presumably worked at the brothel next door, was one of the most just out of pocket people I've ever seen in my entire life. Like the whole place was Area 51, like aliens landed here kind of thing. Like that was the theme of the gas station. And she fit the bill. Like she looked like she was from she looked like Amy Winehouse from like a New Mexico Amy Winehouse. Honestly, that's what it was.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
Nevada. Sorry, I'm stupid.
Well, no, because you think New Mexico Area 51, but
Yeah.
Well, I remember we went to that gas station right there, right by Crowlike, and me and you were like, we're not even buying bottled drinks here.
No, it was disgusting.
Yeah, it was.
All we needed was water, and we're out in the middle of the desert. I would have rather like died of dehydration than drank water from that place.
It was like the hottest day on record in Death Valley too.
Yeah,
127 degrees out there.
it was stupid hot.
But Johnny, proceed with the story.
Yeah, you know where we're going with this.
I know where we're going. I'm going to let you take us there because I've told
Yeah.
you 1,000 times.
If you've ever met me, you've already heard this story. Yeah. Um, yeah, so we go out to this ghost town, which was pretty cool. Like I kind of would have liked to be able to like climb through the buildings and stuff, but all
Yeah.
the buildings were blocked off. We were taking like really awesome pictures. We were excited about it, and we got out there right as the sun was going down, and you drive up this hill, and then it like dead ends, and we get to the dead end, and it's pitch black pretty much. So we start coming back down. There's nobody there, and there's one place that I was like, hey, stop down at this. It was like these statues, these really cool statues that were like ghost figures.
It was the Last Supper with
Yeah,
Jesus in Ghost.
yeah, they look like ghosts. And I was like, we gotta stop. I've got to get this picture. Nothing is gonna get in my way of this one. And there was like rattlesnake signs. So Clint was like, I'm staying in the car. I'm not stepping foot out of this car. There's fucking rattlesnakes.
Yeah, I don't do.
And I don't either, but I was like, at least I'll hear them. I'll hear them before they get me. So like, I'm going to get this picture. So me and Anna get out of the car. We get up to this place, and there's another car there, and we get out, and there's this guy that's taking pictures as well, and he's got his camera over by his car, and he's like, I said, hey, we're not gonna be bothering you if we're taking pictures. He's like, no, everything's cool. So me and Anna go down about 100 feet away from him, probably not even that, like 50 feet away from him, and I start taking pictures, and I'm listening. I can hear the guy talking while I'm taking pictures, and I hear him. I'm like, oh, I guess there's another person there, and it's a girl. I'm like, oh, there's a girl there, and then I start to put it together that there's two girls and two guys, and the guy is taking pictures of the two girls and one guy, and the guy taking pictures just goes, yeah, great. Now pull him out.
Yeah, he's like,
Starts
just take
talking
it
about,
out.
yeah, take your top off. And they're like, no, we don't want to. He's like, girl, everybody on the internet seen you naked. Like, go ahead and pull him out. And it was like, what? And it turned out that there was a porn being shot in the car, because you can't, I guess there's like rules on filming porn in Las Vegas. Like, I didn't know this, but like maybe you have to have like some documents or something. I don't know. But there's rules on, like, there's laws on filming porn inside Las Vegas, and probably just filming anything in general.
Right, yeah.
And so that's why they go outside to like these ghost towns and these weird places to shoot porn. And so, long story short, I'm in the background of some porn somewhere in the world, and I don't know. I've searched endlessly, day and night, looking for that porn.
Tell everybody where I was while this.
Yeah. I'm getting to that.
Oh, go ahead.
So yeah, we come back up the hill, and I'm so ecstatic. I'm like, I cannot believe that a porn was being shot. Not only did I just get like some of the best pictures I've ever taken, but there's a porn shot like 50 feet away from me. And I come up, and like, I've got blinders on, dude. Like, I'm not looking over there. I will not do it. And I just see Clint hanging outside with his arm up on the car, just putting out the vibe. And I remember coming up there, I'm like, get the fuck back in the car. Get in the car right now. Like, and we drove like 5 miles down the road and got out. We're just like, this is the best day ever. Like, running around in the street like, this is awesome. There was a porn.
I remember you getting back in the car and being like, did we just wander upon a porn shoot in the middle of the desert?
We absolutely did. And it was,
we did.
that was good stuff, man.
Now, one of the things I did want to ask you too is, a lot, the super fights are getting bigger.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting more
super.
Yeah, they're getting more super. Well, I mean, but they're becoming a more frequent thing. From white belt to purple belt, I don't remember ever being in a position where I could apply for a super fight and not drive to at least Dallas.
Yeah, for like white through purple, I wouldn't even have known where to apply. Like ADCC was the only super fights I knew of, really.
Now you've got the Arkansas Grappling Challenge, you got Summit, you had what was that other one that Mike the Truth Jackson worked for that we did? Submission Hunter Pro.
Yeah, Submission Hunter Pro.
Came to Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that one was great because I remember, the guy I went against for that super fight looked like Kimbo Slice on steroids.
Yeah.
and I remember showing you, it's in there by you and Mitch going, yeah, that's the guy I got. And Mitch is like, what made you think that was a good idea?
That guy was pretty swole.
Yeah, he was swole, and he was every bit as strong as he looked. Now, what do you like better as a competitor? Do you like the super fight better, or do you like a tournament?
I like the super fight better. I think that it might be because of my MMA background, like it's that format, just like I'm used to getting in the zone for that. But tournaments, I have a hard time personally being in crowds. Like it really drains my energy, and it really like I have a hard time just relaxing around large groups of people. And when I do a super fight, I'm able to kind of go off and be in a corner for a little while. And in a tournament setting, it's a little bit harder to do that. Like you've got a lot of people all around you all the time. And usually during those tournaments, I'm also coaching. So it's like I've got to do a whole day of kids coaching and then compete. And that's a lot.
Yeah.
And so I like the super fight format personally better, but I mean,
yeah.
Now,
do you feel the same way as a competitor? Would you rather compete in a super fight, or do you rather compete in a tournament?
Oh, that's kind of what I was referring to. Yeah.
Okay, either one.
As like competing, I would prefer doing that. I guess coaching too a little bit. Yeah, tournaments, like when we do the AGFs, or if it's like one person, it's not that big of a deal. But when we have like a whole team doing those tournaments, it is a lot.
Oh no, it's exhausting coaching in those tournaments. Like, I mean, because I get more worked up to watch somebody else than I do having to compete myself almost.
And you'll have a lot of times you'll have like 2, 3, 4 matches going on at the same time, like people that you. What? My Alexa just started talking to me.
Yeah.
Alexa, stop listening.
He's going to give you the speech, man. We take your privacy very seriously.
Yeah.
Like, no, you don't. Like, no,
I forget where we were at. I get distracted so easily.
Oh no, it's fine. But you'd answered the question pretty well. See, because I'm just weird as a competitor. Because me and Aaron Mara talking about this, how like I like the sport of trying to collect more points than my opponent. Like I don't necessarily feel the need to have to get a sub.
Okay, like rule set, I do prefer points because I agree with that. Yeah, if we're talking about rule set, which is probably what you're talking about to begin with, I do like that. I do like trying to get points. I'm much more of a sweep and position style player than I am a submission style player. I don't know why.
Oh no, you're good. It is more exciting to, as a spectator, to watch the having to go for the submissions like in a super fight. Because let's just face it, I'm not the most exciting grappler in the world to watch.
I think you are.
Well, thank you. But it's
we call the Clint the Show Clark.
Well, I don't do a lot of butt scooting.
Mm-hmm.
There was and that's part of the problem, I think, with some of them super fights. There she is, Miss America.
Miss America.
Going on.
Just made her appearance on the podcast.
Made an appearance. Lizzie on the first episode of the Pajama Wrestling 101 podcast.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. No,
She's gonna want you guys to edit that out.
I'll have to talk to Travis Seal. Like, hey, about the 45, wait, about the 50-minute mark. Lizzie.
Yeah, cut that.
Got it. Yeah. So I got distracted by Lizzie, so I apologize. There she goes
No,
again.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Fucking unprofessional.
It's all right. She just gonna leave the door open, Johnny?
I guess so. Damn.
Yeah. But no, the super fights, they're more exciting. But there was a lot of butt scooting.
Yeah.
Like a lot of. Did you think there was too much butt scooting?
So I don't think there's too much butt scooting. There's never enough butt scooting, in my opinion. No, I'm just kidding. The problem that I have is not so much like the pulling guard, is a lot of people will play to not lose. There's a certain point, like you get your guard passed, and you kind of just you're like, well, I'm not going to win this match, so as long as I don't lose, then it's a draw, kind of thing. And that's what I like about sub only, or not sub only, Submission Hunter Pro. They would do, if you didn't get a submission, then it was just a draw, like nobody won. But in Summit, they would do a ref's decision, and I appreciate those. I like that format of it, because somebody has to win, like you can't just.
That was going to be the next question, because I know Submission Hunter Pro, Summit, and then Arkansas Grappling Challenger, Little Rock Grappling, however you want to call it. They all had different tiebreakers in case the time ran out. Submission Hunter Pro is just like, well, you tied.
Yeah.
And it's like, and some guy usually wins the match. It's rarely.
Yeah, it's very clear. Like you passed the guy's guard and, stayed on top for the whole round. Like you probably won that match.
Which tiebreaker do you like better? Do you like the takedown rule like they use in Little Rock Grappling Challenge, or do you like the judge's decision?
I think I prefer the judge's decision, because like the takedown off, like that as a tiebreaker doesn't necessarily determine who's the better grappler. It doesn't reflect that as much as a judge's decision would, because as long as the judges are competent judges, they should be able to see a match for the most part. Obviously there's like gray areas, and Clint Clark might be a judge, so you never know, but like they should be able to reflect who's the better grappler in those situations. Obviously it's not perfect, but
no, obviously I got at least one wrong.
For sure.
And that was my favorite moment. It happened later in all the memes where people were roasting me, saying I looked like I was bored.
Yeah.
and I have to admit that when they sent me the pictures, like I looked like I was bored out of my mind.
It is kind of a boring, like just sitting there, you're off by yourself. You're not allowed to you can't mingle, and you just have to sit there and watch 100 matches back to back. It's exhausting, and I get it. That's pretty boring.
Then you got to decide, hey, I got a little flag. Which one am I going to raise?
Yeah.
Then it's like, it's hard, because it really was hard for my position that I was in, because I want to see Josh do good. I want to see Caleb do good. I want to see Brad and Lawrence and everybody. I want to see them do good. But number one, I'm not going to give them a match I think they didn't win.
Yeah.
And number two, I don't want my face to show I'm pulling for this guy.
Right.
So Susie and Row 2 thinks, well, this guy's just pulling for this guy.
Well, I said it. I think that I don't think that Clint would ever like be biased one way or the other, unless we specifically paid him to be. And I know that we didn't, so we're good
Oh,
to
no.
go.
Every decision I gave it to the person I thought that would win. And
Yeah, I knew
third
you
one, I think it
would.
was like the second match of the night. I judged against the Shade.
Yeah,
And you gave me like the what the fuck, Clint.
because it was just a bad choice decision, like
It
in
probably
general.
it probably will. And well, in the what I do like about the judges format they have at Summit is that no one judge can screw somebody.
Right. Yeah.
Everyone has to agree with you. And like there are two other split decisions that were guys in our gym. I thought Bradley completely dominated his guy
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
and same thing with Lawrence. And Ben was over at the house today, and me and Ben Caldwell, Purple Belt at our gym, we were talking today because if you noticed how Clint was judging, whoever he thought was controlling the match is usually who he went for. Because you can't, like Antaid, he got mad at I think me and Dean over one match because he had more points. We had more points. Like there's no points.
Yeah.
There's no points. You can't judge that like you judge a tournament match because it's completely different. Because the idea is how many submissions are you going to throw up? You know, who's going to get the submission, and I think who's in a better position to get those submissions.
Yeah, and that's where like that I think that's ultimately where one of my fighters she would like pass the guard, but it was out of a submission, and so that kind of screwed her.
Yeah,
and it makes sense. Like I'm not saying that she was necessarily gypped in that way, but like you know you passed guard because somebody was attacking a submission, then does it really count as a guard pass? Is it, if that makes any sense?
no, I mean, because
You were escaping a position. Yeah.
you don't know what the judge is looking at because you're stuck in a triangle and you just you get out of it and you get the side control.
Yeah.
Are they going to value the fact that you got out of it and got to a dominant position, or are they going to value that the other person put a submission?
I would put my points on the submission attempt. If it's a legitimate submission attempt, and that forces the other person to defend and then get the pass out of it, I'd give it to the person that.
The worst part about judging that tournament was with about there was about 40 matches in a row or something ridiculous like that. With about 10 matches left, I got in my head like, I've got to take a shit.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like, I can't get up. I've got to just sit here.
You just got to accept it and go.
And Dean's like, and me and Dean talked about it later. He's one of the other judges. He's like, you can't think that. You can't think that.
No, you can't.
Now I've kept you for about an hour, so I'm going to ask one question, and then we'll wrap this up and get you to bed, my friend.
Who's my favorite grappler? Clint Clark.
Thank you. No, but I already knew that, and so does
Clint the Show Clark.
The Show Clark. The one guy that one time that looked at you when you told me to do something in the middle of the match and went, no.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
You're just like my daughter.
No. How has becoming a father changed your perspective on jiu-jitsu? Because that happened. You were over the moon, excited. You were such a dad.
Yeah.
You look at this video of
I'm still like that.
And don't ever change because it's awesome and it's adorable and I love you for
it. I appreciate it. It has changed a lot of it considerably. I think a lot more about what she's gonna have as a result of my legacy, like, or if I obsess about, like, and I think that everybody that's a parent obsesses about this in one way, shape, or form. Like, I don't necessarily think about her. I don't worry about something bad happening to her. I worry about, like, me not being there as a father as she gets older. So I think a lot about, like, if I did pass away before she's older, how is she going to learn my jiu-jitsu, and how am I going to pass that on to her, even though I might not be there? So I think about that a lot. I think about, like, the gym and what's that going to look like for her when she's older, how she's going to train. So all of that like makes me approach things in a little bit different way than I did before. I think a lot about what is her jiu-jitsu going to look like, and what is it, how am I going to contribute to that, and how am I going to share that to her. So that just makes me think about the things that I'm doing a little bit more and a little bit differently. Yeah.
No, that's great. Johnny, thank you so much for coming on. Because, when I first, I've got my other podcast doing my friend Travis, the Big C, Bigger T podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to interview a lot of guys.
Shameless plug right there. Big C, Bigger T podcast.
Yeah.
Go check it out on all
Check it out.
streaming
It's
platforms.
everywhere you can get your podcast.
Yeah.
But I want to interview like you and other guys I admire and look up to in jiu-jitsu, and it's just not his cup of tea. So it's like when I decided, like, you know what, I'm going to do one of these on my own.
Yeah.
I'm kind of fun to talk to sometimes.
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 Every once in a while. Yeah.
Not probably wasn't one of them, but it's okay.
Not at bedtime. Not when it's Papa's bedtime. No, you're doing great. And I get that too. Like you gotta have especially with a thing like a podcast, you have to have like a niche. You have to stay in your lane,
Yeah, no. And so I really wanted to do this. And when I messaged you and said, hey, I'm thinking about starting a podcast, I'm going to call it Pajama Wrestling 101.
Yeah.
And you're like, I love it. I said, will you be my first guest? And you're like, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's what I love. That's one of the things I love about you, because I always come up to you with harebrained things like, hey, I'm going to go compete in Las Vegas as a black belt at Master Worlds. And you're like, I'm in.
Yeah. Well, dude, it's always been an adventure for me too. I get to go to really cool, interesting places because my friends want to go to really cool, interesting places, and like my students want to go. And this has come up a lot the past couple of days, but I guess the one goal, the one vision that I have always had for the gym, since the very beginning, like, I mean, you can talk to a lot of people that have been a part of the gym, like Josh and Aaron, me here are probably the two of the longest students I have. And my goal has always been to make a place where people can pursue their dreams and their money-making endeavors through the gym in some way, shape, or form, and to be able to support that as much as I can. So that comes down to this too. I'm happy to support it.
Oh no, and I appreciate you so much. And man, I can't put in words what you've meant to my life, my journey.
Thanks, bro.
Even when I first moved back and I didn't like coming to the gym, which I've been on the record 100% that was my fault, because the thing was I would come in, I was outranked Daniel Trimble at the time.
Yeah.
And everyone in your gym would kick my ass.
Yeah.
And it damaged my very sensitive ego.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't take any I think people take a little bit of shame in like being good at what they do, and I don't think that people should do that, especially with the gym. Like I know that we're good at what we do, and I think, and I see that in a lot of other people. Like I see, we've had people. I had somebody, I forget who it was, one of my famous lines. Somebody came in and did a jiu-jitsu class, and they literally during the warm-ups they quit. They're like, I can't do this. This is way harder than I expected. And I was like, I mean, shit's hard. What do you mean? Yeah. If you're gonna quit now, like, what do you think is gonna happen in 20 minutes? Like, this is just our movements. Like, shit. Like, see ya. I don't need your money that bad. But yeah, I think. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I interrupted you. You're the guest. You talk.
That's something that's common though. We've seen that a lot. Like people will come in and they have a hard time accepting that they're not good at something, and so they would prefer to stay where it's comfortable and where they can be the best in the room, rather than come to where they might suck a little bit and try to get better.
Well, and I'm the guy that now I got to a point and I had to change my headspace. was I seek out ways to get better.
Yeah.
I mean, teaming up with Cisco, learning some wrestling, that helped me out a lot. I think you would say that. But in a gym like yours, like what we have now, you can get as good as you want to get.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to learn some small guy stuff, you got the small guys. If you want to learn the big guy stuff,
yeah,
you got guys you can learn that from. You want to learn the medium-sized guy stuff.
I think Arkansas in general is entering a new era of jiu-jitsu and MMA. I think I said it for a long time with I think Bryce Mitchell was one of the first ones to understand, and I felt this way. When I worked for the I worked for an airline, and sorry, hold on. I worked for an airline, and I tried to do this nationally. I wanted to go all over the country and train with the best people. And Bryce put it together that like we have all of the abilities to make some of the best fighters in the world, but they're not all in one place. Like they might be in California or Florida. So you need to travel and go everywhere. And I think now, in this era of MMA and jiu-jitsu in Arkansas, I think now it's becoming more consolidated within the gyms. I think there are multiple gyms in the area that can put out and have put out like top tier national, world level or international level competitors through the coaching staff that they have in their gym. Whereas before it needed to be the coaching staff of Arkansas. You needed to go to this gym for wrestling and this gym for striking and this gym for jiu-jitsu. And now those gyms are more, those skills are more consolidated within the gyms.
Sure. Well, Johnny, you made it through it, man. The first ever podcast. And I think more importantly, I made it through it.
Yeah.
So
awesome, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, thank you. Soon this will be out everywhere you can get your podcast. So like, share, subscribe. Or if you hate it, then just send it to someone you don't like. I don't care. I just need the clicks, people. Yeah. Johnny, thank you very much. Have a good one, my friend.
Appreciate it, bro.
Mississippi mud, we be in paradise.